Well, everyone, you read the video. It's gonna get into it here, and this is my disclaimer here. I am a car guy. I'm basically as car guy as you can get. In my house, there are car gauges and car license plates up there. I am overweight, and I have a giant garage in which I spend most of my days. I spend almost no money on myself. I eat ramen and things like that just to pay for more project cars. So that is my credentials on how much I do know about what we're going to talk about here. And that is why you just should cave in and spend the extra money to do it right the first time. Don't buy Chinese and bullcrap. And yes, I didn't stutter at all because as a little broke boy myself who loves working on way too many projects at once, I do love to be able to save a penny here and there. That does add up over time. But do not buy the cheap Chinese and bullcrap 90% of the time. There's like 10% of the time you can get away with it. But just go back and buy something that was nice and used. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm going to give you guys some real world examples of this, starting with this camera right here. Over outside of the frame of view of what you guys can see, there's my 1995 ZX7. You guys saw me rescue this thing from my neglect where it was sitting in my garage for a long time, a couple years. You know, I bought it from a guy who kind of neglected it. I brought it to a guy to tune it, and he just neglected it. And it's just a neglected bike. I did get it running and driving, though. It actually runs and drives great. I have taken that thing out and terrorized the street with it. I love it to death. And when I got the thing running and driving, I thought, you know what? What do I like watching most of the time? And it's motovlogging content. I have been a motorcycle rider since I was like 10 years old. We got a dirt bike when I was 10, and I loved the crap out of that thing. I have been riding forever. I got my motorcycle certification in Washington State, where it was only 15 at the time. You could actually get your motorcycle cert before you could get your car cert, license and everything like that. So I actually had my motorcycle certification when I was 15 in Washington State, and I just love them to death. I've always watched motovlogs, stuff like that. That's always touched me in just the right places. Wink, wink. But I love that type of stuff. I thought, you know what, now that I have my bike going, I have a good helmet, I've got a couple mic setups, I would be super, super happy if I could do my own motovlogging on my own different channel, which I do intend to set up in a while. That's just motovlogging. It's not working on cars, anything like that. It is just motovlogging. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to need some cameras. And that's where these cheap Chinesium GoPro knockoffs came in. And, well, don't ever doubt anybody if they say you get what you pay for. Because I am going to not put the actual manufacturer of these things in the video here. They were actually super, super helpful. I will give them that. Basically, I'm going to talk to you guys about what I mean here. As soon as I voiced my concerns with them saying, hey, this isn't what I was looking for, they were immediate to give me my money back. I mean, they just were within like 10 hours. They're like, oh my God, we're super, super sorry. We're going to give you all your money back. You don't need to send them back. If you can use the camera mounts, if you can use anything that was included in there, that's fine. You can keep it. We'll give you your money back. We're super, super sorry this happened. It's not what you're looking for. But with that out of the way, let's talk about what actually these things are. They're knockoff GoPros. They look sort of like a GoPro Hero 4, and I had one of those growing up when I was like 14. And I figured, you know what? If that thing's that old, the patent has expired, these things are probably exactly the same on the inside as a GoPro, and they probably are just fine. I don't need anything super fancy. I don't need to record 4K, 360 view. I don't need all that fancy stuff. I just want something to get me started in the world of motovlogging, see if I really enjoy it, see if, I get a lot of people watching it, if they enjoy it. Just something to get started there. It doesn't have to be super fancy, just has to get the job done. And, well, when I got these things home, this is the footage that came out of it. Yeah, it looks like I have an original Xbox, and I could record gameplay of like the original Halo on it with it right in front of an old school flat screen that hums really loud when you turn it on and off, and it would look perfect in line with a date code from like 2001. That shit would look exactly like a camcorder out of that era. But that's not what I was looking for. And actually, on this thing right here, I'll show you guys. It actually says 4K Ultra HD. And I thought, you know what? It recorded, at least the ad itself said it records in 4K, 30 FPS, or 1080p, 60 FPS. And I thought, you know what? 1080p is just fine for me. Like I said, I don't need anything fancy. A lot of my videos are actually recorded in 1080p here on this channel. I only really record my intros and my outros on my iPhone 14 Pro Max. That does record in 4K, 60 FPS. That's the only thing I have that records in that high of a resolution. Everything else is just kind of upscaled to follow it, but it's all basically natively recorded in 1080p 60 FPS on my iPhone 11 or my GoPro Hero 4, which I ended up caving in to buy. Now, once I realized how crappy these things really are, they did send me all my money back, and I used that money, just straight up went on eBay, bought a couple GoPro Hero 4s with a crap load of accessories, bought 4 or 5 extra batteries, an extra charger. Now, all those totaled up to about 150 to 200 bucks with shipping, taxes, all that stuff included. And it was well worth it. I spent like 40 to 50 bucks a pop on these things. So it was about double the price of what one of these cheap Chinesium knockoffs are. But honestly, it was well worth the money. Think about it logically here. When that GoPro Hero 4 was made brand new, it wasn't made to be cheap. It wasn't made to be, just pump out a shitload of them. It wasn't made to be, just down to the cheapest price point. It was made to be a darn good camera in line with what was, practical at the time. They didn't really have 4K a lot back then. That thing actually does upscale to 4K, 30 FPS. It's not true 4K, but it can upscale to it. But, I mean, honestly, that camera was made to be, like, top of the line at the time. And right now, it still works just fine. Let me put up some footage here. That right there was recorded on like a 10-year-old camera. These things are actually great. They still work just fine. And thankfully GoPro, I mean, they haven't really changed their mounting scheme in a long time. So you can still get a lot of mounts. You can get helmet mounts, motorcycle mounts, floor mounts, like tripod mounts. You can get all that stuff for GoPros for pretty cheap. And that's where you can actually cheap out a little bit. We'll get into that here. You can cheap out a little bit on things like the case, or the stand, or like, let's say, the charger adapter, something that you can, for a fact you can cheap out on, but just do yourself a favor, do not cheap out on the actual camera or the tools, and we're going to go into the tool aspect now. Moving on to the tool aspect. As you guys know, I have a 64 Chevelle that I'm fixing up with 350, and I needed a motor stand. That's where this thing comes into play that I can lift up with one hand. And these guys are going to get shamed really hardcore, because they are putting up a fight to give me my money back. These things came in, and I knew off the bat it was a mistake. I paid about $45 a pop for these things. They say they're rated to 1,000 pounds, to 1,200 pounds. You can get them, different models. I think this was either the 1,000 or the 1,200 pound model. It was on sale. Figured to get a couple of these things, throw my parts 350 up on one and my good 350 up on the other one. Make a good motor out of both of them. They're not super expensive, but they're also not super cheap. I can buy a halfway decent one on Marketplace for 50, 60 bucks. It's been used for a couple of years. So I figured 50, 60 bucks for one that is just brand new. It should be okay. And well, I was wrong again. I brought these things home, and almost immediately I had problems. I messaged the seller saying, hey, these they have threaded inserts where they go into the frame, where these little rollers screw into the frame. They have threaded inserts, which I don't know if you guys can tell, it's not in there, because these threaded inserts are not the right size for these rollers. The threads on these rollers are actually different sizes, so I had to drill a hole, set them into the frame itself, outside of the threaded rollers, because these things also just spin in the frame. They're cheap Chinesium junk. And I messaged the seller and I said, dude, what the hell? This ain't right. And they said, well, that never happens. You just must have got messed up, even though I ordered 2 of them and both of them had the same problem. It's not like I just ordered one and just had this freak accident. I ordered 2 of them. They were in 2 separate boxes. They got shipped to me, and they both had the same issues. The rollers were a different size than the threaded inserts on the motor frame itself, so that was never going to work. The threaded inserts themselves were spinning in the frame, so I was never going to be able to get them tightened. And on top of that, when I actually did all this and put them together and went to set the motor on the frame, this thing was about to bend in half. I don't really have super close-up footage, but I have a picture here that, as you guys can see, the motor is dipping way too far down, and it's still on my dad's skid loader in that. He never even let off the chain tension. That was only like half of the weight on it, and it was bending that much. And well, I have been fighting with them to get my money back or get a refund or something, and they're like, well, we can give you like $10. That'll cover the price of, drilling out the drill bit to put it in there. And I said, no, we're going to need something else other than that. I'll send these guys back if I have to. Well, we're a small company. The $30 in return shipping, that would break us. Then I got that last night, and I was just starting to get really annoyed. I'm like, you know what? Am I really going to fight this hard for just $30? Just worried about drilling a hole into a frame. I mean, honestly, if they would have held the motor, I probably would have just forgot about it and not cared. But when I went to put the motor on it, it bent in half. Oh my God, it's just do not cheap out. Buy something used that was designed to be good in the first place. Do not buy the cheap Chinesium knockoff. Again, on Facebook Marketplace, you can buy engine stands for like 40 or 50 bucks, basically the same price I paid as these things with shipping and handling and everything, and they might have a little bit of rust on them because they've been used for 20 years, but they're going to work great. Just do not cheap out on this stuff. Buy the good stuff. Leave it the good stuff. It was always made to be good stuff. It was never made to be cheap like these things are. Do not cave in. Do not buy the cheap Chinesium bullcrap. Now, the point of this video, without me rambling anymore, because I was starting to get annoyed there and starting to just puke out information, is just cave in and buy something off Marketplace or eBay used. Do not buy things new, especially if you're building them down to a price point. This happens a lot with car parts too. I have helped countless buddies build motors. They buy some cheap Chinesium knockoff distributor and it's just junk. It's making the motor backfire. It's not staying in time. It's not sparking right. Just cave in and buy something good that was made to be good from the beginning. It may not be brand new, but 99% of people will not care about that. You do not need something brand new. If you are just using it to hold up a motor like a motor stand, just buy it used. If you're just using a distributor, most of the old school distributors are probably still going to be good. You may need to clean them up a little bit, or old school MSD stuff, probably still good. I have a couple E-Mod drag cars, or not E-Mod drag cars, but E-Mod dirt circle track cars that we raced. Those things were built like 10, 15 years ago with MSD stuff that has been used and abused and exposed to water, mud, crashes, and that stuff still works great. And guess what? It's MSD. It's not some cheap Chinesium company. It's an actual good company who made things to be good in the first place, and you can get damn good deals on used stuff on Marketplace. Just let yourself go to Marketplace and buy the stuff that was designed to be good from the very beginning and not designed to be built down to a price point to compete with the used stuff. If you see something that is priced too good to be true, it probably is. Just like I said, this engine mount, it is basically in line with what a used engine mount, what an engine stand. These things are priced basically in time with what a good used one would be. If you see that, just run. Now, like I said, there is a time and place for cheap stuff. If it's something unimportant like a bumper cover or a grill on your car, you can probably get away with buying a cheap Chinesium knockoff. The mounts might not be perfect. Things here and there might not line up. It might not be the exact right color, but if it's just for a little dinky daily driver and you don't care, just buy the cheap Chinesium crap. Like I said, it's probably not going to be perfect. You're probably going to have to fight a little bit installing it, but if you're really that budget savvy, that's where you can kind of get away with it. If you're buying something like a camera or an engine hoist or motor parts, just buy used from a reputable manufacturer. Like I've said a million times in this video, they were made to be good. They were not made for a price point. If they were made good, they're still probably good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years later. Like I said, in our E-Mod dirt circle track cars, those things were built back in like 2012 or 2015, and all we did when we bought them is throw a starter in it, throw a battery in it, and they fired right up. They are still kicking. They have been used and abused, and because MSD is a reputable manufacturer that knows what the hell they were doing, and those parts were built to last when they were built. They may not have been cheap when they were built, but they were built to last. They are still running and gunning to this day. Now I'm going to stop ranting and raving here. I got to go inside. It's about to rain. I've got to go a little bit of grocery shopping, amount of groceries in the house. But this was Josh from Riskers Wrenches, and at the end of the day, take my advice as a fat dude who works on way too many cars. Just buy parts that are used or tools that are used. You can buy a Snap-on set of used, everybody hates Snap-on because they're super expensive, but to be fair, there is a reason they're that expensive. They have a full lifetime warranty, and they are good quality tools. If you're going to buy a cheap set of sockets, do not complain when the ratchet lasts a week and then all of a sudden it won't click anymore. Just go on Marketplace, spend the 20 or 30% more to buy a good used set that still looks good and still functions good. A good motor stand, spend the extra $10, $15 to buy just a good motor stand, a good camera. Like I said, those knockoff GoPros were $40. I spent about $50 to $60 a pop on those GoPros, the good ones, and then I bought a few extra mounts and a few batteries here and there, and they are so much better than those knockoff Chinesium products could ever hope to be. Just save the headache. Buy the good used crap that was made to be good from the beginning and not the cheap Chinesium crap that was made to a price point. I'm going to stop rambling now. I hope you guys are having a good week. day, night, weekend, holiday, whatever the hell it is. I hope you guys are having a great one. I hope to see you guys in coming episodes or coming videos. I do a lot of car stuff here on this channel. Like I said, I got my motorcycles. I have my 64 Chevelle. I have my Crown Vic that probably is honestly never going to get finished. I love that car. I want to build it right, and that's keeping me from kind of throwing it together in a weekend. Like I said, I've got motorcycles. I've got dirt bikes that are going to be coming here to the channel in a little bit. I've got four-wheelers. Those are also be coming to the channel in a while whenever I kind of clear up my stash of projects that I need to work through so I can actually work to other projects that I want to work on. And well, this is Josh from Riscos Wrenches. One final time, just spend the extra money and buy something that's good. Damn it! Do not buy the Ching Wong Hing Ding engine stand. Okay. Hope you guys are having a good one. Peace out. I didn't want to be the guy that filmed random children without their consent. That'd probably put me on a watch list somewhere.